Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome to Redefined Gospel Sounds with myself, Success. Hope you guys are good. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are blessed. In today's episode, we've got a woman better known as a part of Melladaze. If you remember, they were on Little Mix The Search, but we love her so much. We wanted to get her on her once. So we've got Liv Aidam in the building.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm living, I'm alive, I'm happy. How are you?
Thanks. I feel a bit. No one ever asked me. That's a lie. But it's always nice to be asked. I'm well. We've got the exams and all that. The uni, the uni
sorry,
stuff. We're all right. You just came back from Ghana not too long ago.
Yes, I came back like almost 2 weeks ago now, and had the best time. I'm literally already planning my trip back.
Really?
Yes, of course. I need to go back there ASAP. Like, it was so good. Like, it's really soul enriching. That's like actually the perfect word to describe it as.
Do you go there often?
No, so I haven't been since I was about 14, I think, or 15, 14, yeah. And yeah, it was my first time since then. I've been twice around that age, and then that was my third time. But now I'm like, I need to go every year. Like, I need to make it more.
When you were there, what things stood out to you? Like, what things stood out to you?
I think it was just like seeing my culture in the flesh, like you're actually around it all the time. Obviously, I have a lot of family there, so it was so nice to see my family and like spend time just getting to know my roots more, if that makes sense. So
you see, like when you came back, like, did you feel a difference? Like, you know, when you landed in, is it Heathrow or Gatwick? Was it Heathrow or Gatwick?
I went to Heathrow.
You know, when you landed back in Heathrow, you're like, was there like a sense?
The weather's just like,
It's
like the weather
different.
just goes down, and then you're just like, I'm back home, like, I might just hop on the plane back, like.
But I think with me, so whenever anyone asks me, I either say, I'm Nigerian, or like I'm like British Nigerian or whatever.
Yeah.
So like for you, how do you not necessarily deal, because not something that you have to deal with, is a good thing, but just in terms of like dual heritage, like British, Ghanaian, like how have you found it? Like what experiences, I guess, because in terms of like growing up, like you'd have got the sense of, I guess, around you, like when you stepped out of the house, maybe that like, cool, you're in Britain, but like maybe when you come back, maybe like you've got a bit more of Ghana there. So like, how did that work for you?
It's really strange because like in Ghana, they see me as white, like you're white, like they're like, you're not black, you're white. But then here it's like, well, you're not white, so what are you? But you're not black, and it's always like, what even are you? It's like, I shouldn't have to ask that question to you, really. Like, I'm just me. Like, I'm British and I'm Ghanaian, and I'm proud to be both of them. I love both my cultures, like especially the food from Ghana. Like, that's my thing.
What are your faves? Let's speak on it. What are your faves?
So I love okra soup and banku. That is like, that is my yummy. And yes, I eat it with my hands. I'm proper like, you got to eat. You can't get the full flavors.
Why not? Have you got any other faves?
I love spinach stew, like just spinach stew.
Really?
Yeah, it's so nice. You know, if you have it with this thing called a bolo, it's like really sweet, and then you get the sweet and then the salty from the spinach. Like, it's nice.
This is even fantastic. I have it on very good authority that you love to cook.
Oh yeah, I do.
So
I love cooking.
I'm gonna pose it to you. So let's say that Melladaze had to come down with me, yeah?
Okay.
And they all come, the other members come to your house.
Yeah.
You are doing a starter, a main, a dessert. Any cuisine, doesn't need to be, any cuisine, anywhere. Like, so what's the starter? Let's start off with the starter.
Okay, starter. I love fried plantain. Like, I love fried plantain so much.
Yeah.
And like in Ghana, they have kelewele, which is like, they make it on the street, and it's just got this really nice like gingers and spices and stuff. It's so nice. So I think I'd make that with some kind of like, if we're mixing and matching, nachos, like something like that, you know. Main, it'd either be like something like Thai curry with like coconut rice, or it would be, if we're going a bit more traditional, I'll try and make like wache and stew with like tilapia or something like that. And then dessert, I love tiramisu. It's very random. Like, this is a very mix and match.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if it's going to be sitting well with their stomachs. I don't know, but that's fine. You do what you're doing.
But yeah, something around that.
No, my problem with tiramisu is that, like, because I have a sweet tooth, I just want something that's, I want to be able to,
sweet. Do you not like coffee? Yeah. I feel like you don't really like coffee. You wouldn't really like tiramisu that much, but sometimes the cream is like really sweet and sometimes it's not. So if the cream is sweet, then it's nice. Or I like apple pie.
Fair.
Or apple pie or apple crumble. Which one's better?
How can you put me on the spot like this? This is very, very bad. I will say apple pie, just because with the apple crumble sometimes the people just get they get the ratios too wrong.
Yeah. I hear that.
With apple crumble, it's that if both of them were at their best, I'd choose apple crumble.
Yeah.
But because apple crumble is rarely ever at its best,
never.
it's just apple pie because you know more time you're not gonna miss. That's just how it works.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, but that's a fair question.
Are you custard or ice cream with it?
I'm ice cream still.
Yeah, I'm ice cream still.
I'm getting a few shifty looks here. I don't know if that's
cream.
Correct.
Custard.
Ice cream.
You can't have hot and hot. Like it has to be hot and cold.
It's hot and cold. Why do you want custard? We will be having some very candid conversations off air, and that's fine. So for you, as you were growing up, what were like your first experiences in terms of like faith, going to church? Like, was that always there, or was that something that, you know?
So church was always like a thing with our family. Like, we went to church every weekend. Like every Sunday we was there. But as a kid, you're just like thrown into Sunday school. Yeah. You don't really know what you're learning. You come back singing these songs, like talking about the fish you just drew or Jonah. But you never actually deep what it is. Well, I never really did. It was more of just a thing that we did as a family. Like we just went to church every Sunday. It was just a thing. And I remember in primary school, none of my friends went to church. It was like not really spoken. So I never ever like said I go to church at the weekend. So it'd be a thing where, like, you know, you'd just be like, oh, so what did you do this weekend? Yeah. I'd be like, nothing, like, just went out with my family. Like, I would never say it. I don't know why. Like, looking back, I don't know why I was so... It wasn't like I was embarrassed, but it was low-key like I was embarrassed.
It's
you know
awkward.
What I mean?
No, it was because I remember...
You just don't say.
No, because I remember, like, even when it came to, like, you know, you sing songs in assembly and that, and sometimes
you'll be like this.
You got them, and I'll be seeing certain men, like, you know, maybe they're like making fun or whatever, and I'll be feeling there, like, I just want to jump on the floor and just go somewhere else.
It's like in your heart you want to be singing it.
In your heart you want to be singing it, but it's like no, like keeping it cool and stuff. You're keeping it cool. But yeah, you were literally saying that. Yeah, I think, and I definitely relate to that in the sense of it's one thing to, you know, Sunday school times, like, yeah, but it's like the proper test. And even as it is now, like when we kind of go out into the world and like, you know, we're just doing what we're doing, like just how we're relating to everyday people. So for you were, as it usually sometimes is, like just making your way through Sunday school and stuff. But for you, was there like a point where like well, obviously there was, but like when did it change, like for you? In terms of...
we'd been at this one church for like my whole life pretty much, and I must have been about 15. We decided to move to a different church, like not for any reason. Basically my parents were just kind of like, you know, this church isn't really spiritually stretching them, so they were like, we wanted to look for a new church. And some of our family friends went to this other church, and my dad went and he came back and he was like, wow, like, I had the best time at this church, like it was amazing, I felt so welcome, I felt like I learned so much in just this one Sunday, like you guys all have to come with me. And we were like, oh, don't know about that, because I was like, all my friends are at this other church, so why would I now move? But it got to a point where I was like, you can't go to church for your friends, you go to church for you. And I was like, okay, cool, let me just try it and I'll see how it makes me feel. And we went to this church and I was just like blown away by the amount of spirit I felt inside me. Like literally from entering the room, it was like, hi, you're welcome, like, hi, nice to see you. And I was like, wow, like, I don't really experience that anywhere else. And I felt so welcome. I felt so like I'd been there my whole life. I didn't feel new. I didn't feel like I didn't belong. I felt like I was meant to be there. And I remember that Sunday, you know, like a lot of churches, they'll be like, oh, if you're new here, like raise your hand.
Yeah, just stand up.
So I was actually thinking, I will not be raising my hand. And my dad was waving his hand like, we're new. And I was like, oh, this is so mortifying. Everyone's looking at you. But then everyone was like, you're so welcome, like, nice to meet you. And I was like, oh, okay, like, this is a bit weird. Like, I didn't expect that reception. Then afterwards, everyone like remembered that we said that we were new. And everyone was coming over like, oh, so like, how are you? Like, how's your day been? Like, how have you found the church? And I was like, this is so like different to what I knew. And I decided to go to the youth, like try it out. We made like some friends and like made some family friends and stuff as well. And the youth, like, it just changed my life. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'd never felt so like in touch with God in my life. And I was just like, do you know what? I'm meant to be at this church because I'm meant to be at this age now where I'm learning more and I'm trying to push myself to be a better person and be a better Christian. So I felt like I just belonged there, and I learned so much, and I decided to get baptized whilst I was there. So obviously made that decision, went through that. I was actually doing my GCSEs at the time. You know that half term where you get in the middle?
Yeah.
It was that half term I got baptized. I was actually like at school. I was like, all my friends, like, you got to come, like, I'm getting baptised, like, come to church. And they were like, you're getting baptised, like, because I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
So they were like, aren't you meant to do that when you're a baby? And I was like, no, you can do it whenever. Like, if you want to get baptised, you can get baptised. I was literally telling everyone, like, come get baptised. And I was like, what am I doing? But at the same time, I was just so happy. Like, I was at a point in my life where I was so proud to be a Christian. I was so happy with where I was at my faith. Like, I was just so excited to learn more, basically. And I was like, you know what, getting baptized is that first decision to kind of commit and just be like, do you know what, I'm in this now, I'm fully committed, and I just want to learn more and I want to know Jesus more. And so I got baptized, and since then, like, I just it's just, you know, when your life is just going up and up and up, and you know it's because of God, like, there's no other reason. Like, you're just on a trajectory that's just going up.
See, for you, because like that's very much true, but when there's been times where there's been a bit of a wobble, or like since, let's even say like from when you got like baptized onwards, for example, and things like they went a bit left, or not necessarily how you wanted to, how was that for you as like someone that was still like relatively like new in their faith? Like, how did you deal with it? Because I feel like sometimes it's, I think especially like from when you just starting out, or like you're making your way, you're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, like Jesus, and then you find out that like just life, innit? So how was it for you?
So I remember on the day I got baptized, they had like, I think there was 7 people that spoke word over my life. And I remember one of them basically saying, like, everyone was so positive, like, wow, amazing. And she was just like, this is the difficult part. Like, you got baptized, great, congratulations, but now it's only going to get harder. And I remember thinking, like, why are you saying that? Like, that's so rude. Like, I'm having the best time and you just come and put a downer on it. But then the next day, I just remember thinking, okay, cool, I'm baptized, but now what? Like, what happens now?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe that woman was right. Like, you have to put your action, like, you have to action everything that you've just said you're going to do. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, okay, cool. So what do I do? Like, okay, cool. So I went to youth on Sundays, and then, you know, I was still learning and stuff. And I felt like I'd put Jesus first in my life. But there's times where you expect God to do things for you, and he doesn't move like that. Like, he just doesn't. So there was times where you'd be like, okay, God, like, you know, I pray for this to happen, I pray for this, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like a family member passes away and you just instantly think, like, what? Like, why? Yeah. And there's so many difficulties in life that make you question things, but you've just got to know that your faith is stronger than that. Yeah. And throughout any bad situation in life, like, there's a reason behind it. And you may not know the reason right now, but God will show you the reason. Or if he doesn't, you know, it's just life. And, you know, you just got to continue going and believing. And I feel like if you lose your faith in that, like, it's so difficult, but you just got to stick with it and stay strong and know that Jesus provides and Jesus has a reason for everything. Like, you just got to keep going, basically.
Has there been a particular time where, like, you feel like, like, you've proper, like, lost it, or like in terms of your faith, like, you've proper lost it, or like, you're like, oh my gosh, Jesus, I'm at my bottom. Like, was there ever a time like that for you?
I'd say maybe like the whole COVID pandemic, horrible situation for everyone, really. It was just such a time of reflection. And I remember when it first happened, the first thing was like, oh wow, like, cool, got some time off school, like, you know, I can just catch up with myself. And then, like, obviously you couldn't go to church and stuff, so we started doing online church, and I was like, okay, this is all right, this is cool. So I'd watch it, like, with my family, and, you know, you'd still be learning and stuff. And then across the summer, I actually became a youth leader, so I was doing that for, like, the summer holidays. And then after I stopped doing that, I was kind of like, okay, but what's my purpose now? Like, what do I do now? And I was just a bit, you know, when you're just a bit lost in life. And I was like, okay, cool. What am I meant to be doing? Like, so I went on the TV show and stuff. And when I came back from that, I was straight back into college. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, what is my life? Like, what am I actually doing? And I feel like a lot of, I'd say teenagers, but like that period between like 16 and like 25, there's a big chunk of time where you're just like, what am I meant to be doing with my life? And I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm just kind of going with the flow and trusting that, you know, something's going to happen, or like, I'm just being faithful that God is going to provide, and, you know, something amazing is going to happen. But at the same time, you're like, when you're not seeing that, you're just like, oh, what's going on? And I stopped going to church because obviously it was still online, and I'd stopped watching it, sorry. And then I was just like, well, how am I meant to learn? Like, what am I doing? And I got COVID, and it was just awful. And then my family got COVID, and I was like, why? Like, why would you do this? But it was like, you know what? It's actually a pandemic. Like, it's uncontrollable. And yeah, I'd say that time was probably the most difficult time I've had to experience in my life, because I'd never been at a point where I'd felt low. Like, I've always been quite a happy person, and that time I was like, wow, like I feel like I had no friends, even though obviously everyone has friends, but there was times where it's like, okay, I have no friends, I have no one to talk to, my family are all doing their own thing, we're all stuck in this house together, like what am I doing? And I just remember there was one time where I put on some worship music, because I hadn't listened to worship music in so long, and I put it on and I just started crying, and I was like, why am I crying? And I remember someone told me once, like, when you cry, it's like, it's just a sign of the Holy Spirit, like, inside you. And I was like, okay, cool, so Jesus is still there, it's still there, I just have to work on it. So that was quite a tough time, but you have to learn from these situations.
For sure. I think even in that same pandemic time, same as you, like, I knew that I had friends, like, I knew that people there, but it's like, there was just a point where just like, I was just feeling low. I was just feeling lonely. I was like, bare lonely. Like,
So
my spirit was
lonely.
bare sad, and I was like, what's going on? Like, I'm actually, you know, like, it's actually okay. But through those times, I think that can also be a time where, you know, you actually just have to go, like, by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to just work on things, like, with God, like, by yourself.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, you would just never, you would just never bother. And for, you know, for all that it was, as much as it was a bad time, like, for, like, so many people, like, a lot of people also had, like, their own stories of, like, things that they were able to grow, like, within themselves,
definitely,
or other people and stuff. So it's just that kind of thing that that's the kind of thing I remember just about that whole period in general. And yeah, I think that's about as good as it is. I think with you then, what does, because you said something, and I'm going to bring it back because I liked what you said it, but what does putting Jesus first, that phrase, I like that phrase, what does it look like to you to put Jesus first?
One of the first things I think of when people say that is, it's so easy to wake up in the morning and you check your phone and you go on your phone and you're like, okay, Instagram, cool, this person's on this, da 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 da. And then you wake up and you get on with your day. But someone once said, there's so many people that just tell me stuff. I know so many wise people, but they were like, when you wake up in the morning, why do you check your phone? I was like, oh, I don't know, like, it's just a habit. Like, you turn off your alarm, then you go on Snapchat, and then you go on this, you go on that. But they were like, okay, so how would your life change if you woke up in the morning, turned your alarm off, and read your Bible? I was like, oh, that's a bit of a hefty question. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then I was like, okay, cool, I'll try it for a week and see what happens. And I tried it for like 3 days, and I was like, okay, this isn't working, because after I've read the Bible, I then go on Snapchat, and then I then go and do this and whatever. And there was a period in lockdown where I said to one of my friends, like, because she was doing really well in her faith, and I was a bit like, you know, when you're envious of someone's faith, you're like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you so, like, passionate about it? And she was like, do you know what? I got this book, and it was like, it's not a Bible, but it has like daily devotionals in it every day. And she was like, I got this book and it's really helped me. Like, I wake up in the morning, I read the devotional, I pray, and I get on with my day. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, can you get it for me? She got me the book, and I started reading it every morning, and I'll turn my alarm off and I'll look at the page and I'll read it. And then there'll be like a few Bible scriptures for you to go and look at. So I would go and look at that. And then it turned into me setting my Bible app to, you know, it's like the daily verse. Yeah. I'll put that on, so when I wake up, I would see the verse at the same time. And then I was like, okay, cool, let me try and spend some time waking up. I'll read that, I'll have a look at the verses, I'll look at the daily verse, and then I'll pray, and then I can get on with my day. And do you know what? I started doing that for quite a long period of time, and it really helped me feel better about the day, because I was like, do you know what? Jesus is a reason to live. Like, that's a reason for me to be alive. So I would wake up, I'd be grateful for everything, and I would just get on with my day. sometimes I would miss that because, you know, you wake up at different times. So I do it like when I'm brushing my teeth or when I'm in the shower. Like, I would try and introduce Jesus into my day as like a routine, as opposed to like, oh, now I have to pray, or like, oh, now I have to go read my Bible. It's like, if you implement it into your daily routine, it's just so much easier to just actually grow that relationship, because you don't have to think about it. It's just part of what you do.
Literally. Something that someone told me was that I think for us, we always view it as like, okay, we've got like a list of things, and then like, you know, our faith, like, God is just there.
Yeah.
But it's like, really and truly, it should be kind of like, if you're looking at visuals, just watch my fingers. So you see, like, so you got like God there, then you've just got like all the things around it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not one of the, like, it's like the main thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's difficult. I think in terms of the phone thing, I'm very sure, I don't know the STEM students here, I don't, you know, science, but I know it's to do with like, I guess the phone gives you like dopamine.
Yeah, dopamine.
So it's like, that's why phone, bam.
Yeah, you're like,
so, and that's why even after like, you, like even like bare times that I was just like, I was praying like
yeah,
like, but for me, I really liked how you managed to like sync and set everything in with like your waking up and like your morning. For me, I'm a very much audio person, so when this comes out, I'll be listening in my AirPods. So that looks like sermons for me. So like, or like maybe I'll play something, or whether they're short or long, just to have it in my ear, just to like, and it sets the tone of the day. Because from there on, I feel like you're really able to just to see how God just moves during the day. Like, I feel like you're more receptive to it. I think something that I like praying in the morning as well is, I think I always just say, oh, like, God, like, just speak to me during the day, or like just show yourself during the day. Like, whether that's through like other people or something I've prayed for, or when nature's looking nice or not nice, like for anything. And it definitely helps. So I think it's just something that we all just have to pay. All just have to pay attention to. And another way for me that I like putting my faith first in things in general is, and just in terms of like giving thanks. So like just being thankful for things. I think I remember we were having, or maybe one of my friends was having like just a discussion with somebody, and I don't think they weren't Christian. And they were like, why are you guys always saying thank God? Like, that was you. Like, just,
but was it though?
And it was like, just own it. Like, just do it. And it's like, I think it's very much a thing of like, of course, like, you know, we essentially, the way I've always seen it from there on is that we're kind of giving thanks for, because obviously we've got our own like abilities and things that we're good at and stuff, but it's like, you know, at the end of the day, like, we know where we got it from. So it's just like, you know, it just, and I think it allows you to not necessarily be too like prideful or too like, I think it allows you to keep sight of things. So I think that's something that allows me to just put Jesus first. So whenever anyone says anything or like, oh, like, obviously I like to think that now I'm getting better at taking like compliments, like, oh, like, that was a good thing, or hopefully people say, oh, this is a good episode. But like, you know, it's always like, oh, yeah, you know, we thank God. Like, and not even just like as a throwaway, because I feel like when I say we, I think just us with like African parents, like Caribbean parents in general, like, you know, we just growing up with all the uncles and aunties saying, oh, like, we thank God, we thank God. Like, but so I think even when I was growing up, sometimes when people would say stuff to me and I'd say that, but it was almost kind of like as a throwaway line. Like,
you just heard it, so you just
thank God, like as if we're saying like, oh, thank you, or like, in a bit. But like genuinely, as the time has gone on, I've definitely thought like just more about like what it means, just to be thankful and just going back and just evaluating. I think one of my friends, they must have said to me maybe like last week or a week and a half ago, whatever, and they were like, oh, like, success, like, do you deep, or have you deep, like, you know, what's gone on, like, for you generally, just in terms of, like, the last, like, half a year, like, the last, like, 6-7 months, just in terms of, like, you know, the pod and everything else that, like I've got going on, and I was like, never did actually. I was like, oh, yeah. And I think because we're so busy, and you're probably the same, just in terms of, because, like, life usually just going like 100 miles an hour, we don't even deep like or we're always focused on like tomorrow's thing, like tomorrow's issue, like thing. Like we don't even deep like everything that's come behind us. True. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, I think that's super important. So Melladaze, so much time has gone on since. How has it been just after the show, after everything? How has it been like for you personally in general? And then how do you think it's gone for you in general?
Do you know what? It's been super challenging. Like it's been really like mentally, physically, like so stretching, because it's when you get given like such a big opportunity and you're just like, do you know what? I'm just going to take it. You go with it. That's one thing, but then actually rolling with it afterwards is the most difficult part. So on the show there was like a couple bands that were made up, and quite a few of them actually split up afterwards because of whatever reason, but we were like, do you know what, we're going to make the decision to stay together, and like we really think we could be something together, so we stuck with it. But we've only recently acquired a manager, and it's been 2 years. And in that 2 years of time, like we've learned so much about each other, so much about the industry, like so much about people, that it's been really, really overwhelming. Like it's been a lot. Like my head is constantly like ticking with like things. In the back of my mind now, I'm thinking, okay, what do I have to do when I get home? Like I have to do this, I have to send that email, because there's just always something that you've got to do. But it's been really enlightening. Like it's been so much fun, and it's like doing university in the flesh. Like it's like you're learning on the go. So for me, I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, it has definitely been difficult and challenging.
With that, what is can I limit it to number one? Or what is like the number one thing that you would tell yourself from when you guys started? Like if you were to go back in time and step into 19-year-old you?
I was 18, 19? Yeah, around that age.
So what would you tell her?
That's a good question. I think I would just tell her to just keep at it. Like, so a couple years prior to that, or maybe a year or two prior to that, I obviously made the decision to drop out of A-levels, as I got a scholarship to a drama school. And it was a very tough decision, because knowing that I wouldn't have A-levels was a bit like of a scary thing, especially for my parents. They were a bit like, oh, you're not going to have A-levels, like, that's not good, like, you have nothing to fall back on. But in my mind, I was like, God's given me this opportunity for a reason, so why would I not go for it if I know that's where it's come from? Like, there's no other reason, as, like, it just was God, like, moving. And I remember praying about it loads, and I was like, God, I pray that my parents make the right decision, because as much as it was my decision, it was a decision they had to make as parents too, because we're all involved. Like, I wouldn't be myself without them. So when they said, like, do you know what, we think that's the right decision for you, I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, cool. And then obviously the auditions for the show, there's loads of like prior auditions like behind the scenes before the actual TV. So when that was all going on, I just remember being like, do you know what, God, like, I've really enjoyed this period. If I get through, like, that's great. But if I don't, like, it's fine. I've had a great time. And it was like, Olivia, you've been through. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, okay. And I kept progressing. Then I got into the band, and we did really well in the competition. And then I just remember thinking, like, okay, so I don't know what happens now. Like, do I stay in the band? Like, are we meant to split? Like, what happens? And obviously when we had that conversation of we're all willing to, like, put everything into this, like, we want to do this, I was like, okay, God, I've got to go back to college, but I pray that you help me balance out the time. And as much as it was like very depressing being at college, because it was such a low time, like I was mentioning earlier, the girls kept me going, like they kept me through it. And I feel like our friendship really like came through at that point. And you know when like you pray about stuff and then you don't really notice it at the time, but it's only when you look back
afterwards
you realise like, oh wow, like that was God. And I wouldn't be here today with them if it wasn't for God, I don't think, because there's been so many challenges, like I can't even name them, but so many things have happened, so many bad situations where someone's tried to take advantage of us, or someone's come in and seen 5 naive girls. Like, we're not naive, and we know who we are. Like, individually, we all know who we are. And I always pray for us, and I always pray that we make the right decisions. And I really think we have, because we could have easily stepped into something very sketchy and very scary, but we all made the right decision not to do that. And I feel like personally, I know that God's guiding my decisions, but what the other girls decide to do is up to them. And then together as a 5, like, we've just got to do it together. But yeah, looking back, I just know for a fact God is helping us and guiding us to make the right decisions and stick on the right path.
I found it really interesting how you were speaking about just like in terms of things like praying for the group and like things like that, because you wouldn't necessarily, I don't know, if it was me, I don't know. If it was me, I feel a bit like, not, I think back to the, like, near the start when we were talking about like back from in school days when it's like feeling a bit like,
yeah.
But for you, do you now think that that's like, you're a bit more just confident in terms of like expressing your faith more and like how your personal faith intertwines with like yourself, and then in terms of like the band as well, because obviously it's like not everyone is like the same as you. So yeah, how did that
me being a Christian, that's part of who I am. It's not like, I feel like it used to always be a big deal to be like, I'm a Christian, by the way, because everyone's like, oh, like, but no one cares. Like, you are who you are, and the more you're confident with who you are, the more that comes across. And I feel like, you know, the 2 greatest commandments, like love one another and love God and stuff. Sorry, that was really like paraphrased. But like they used to really stick with me, because I used to always think like the way you are towards others, they'll see who you are through that. Like just being a kind person, being genuine, being real, being honest, that shows you being a Christian in itself. So for me, it's not a thing where I'm like, hi guys, I'm Liv and I'm a Christian. It's like, it's just who I am. And if you notice that, you notice that. If you ask me, I'll tell you, like, I'll be happy to tell you. But I felt like you used to either have to hide it or you had to tell everyone about it. And finding that happy medium of like being comfortable to talk about it and being confident to talk about it, but not having to rub it in everyone's face, and also not being ashamed of it. That happy medium is like where I am now. Like if someone's like, oh, so like, what do you believe in? Or like, what, you know, who are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus died for us, and I believe that God's love overpowers everything. And that's part of who I am. That's why I am who I am. And I love praying for all of us as a group. Like we always do, before we do like something big, like whatever it may be, we always sit and have like a discussion about like, okay, like we're really proud of who we are, like, you know, proud of you for doing this, happy for us, I can't believe we're in this situation. And we like big each other up. But then I'll then go to the side and I'll be like, okay, God, like I pray that this goes well. I pray for the girls, I pray for myself, because if no one else is doing that, you need to have that one thing that kind of like unites you, and that rock in the center. And for me, Jesus is my rock. Like he's the center of my life. So I have to bring that into everything I do. So yeah.
I like that very much, because you, for me, are somebody that if someone was to like look at you, they'd just be able to tell by like the way that you relate to people, the way that you like care for others. Even our friend, shout out Holly, even our mutual friend, like she when we were speaking, she was like, yeah, like, you know, you can just tell that she's just so loving, all that stuff. So and I think it's good. I think that's something for me that I've always taken on as a challenge, especially as I've gotten older, as to right, if I'm like walking on the street, or like if I'm chatting to people, like how will people know? Or I want people to be able to say like, yeah, like you're a Jesus boy, like how does it work? So that's something that we can all take forward and take through it. So band-wise, obviously you're on your own, so I don't know how much you can say. But going forward for you guys, what's the plan? How excited are you guys in terms of the future?
Well, we've got loads of music coming out this year, which is really exciting for one thing. But yeah, like I see us doing very, very well. And I don't really know what to say, right? Yeah, no, I see us doing very well. Like we're working very hard. The people that are surrounding us at the moment are great people. And they're, you know, when you know that certain people have been strategically placed in your life, like there's definitely like pivotal people that have been put there for a reason. So I'm always really appreciative of that. But yeah, no, we've got some really exciting things coming, which is really good. And I'm always super excited about us and that things that we do, so.
We love it. We love it. I went for you because I feel like you just burst.
Yeah. No, I'm just like, okay, cool.
I went for you. And as a whole, what was it like relating to connecting with Little Mix? Like as a obviously they're doing what they're doing now, but how was that for you personally, just in terms of like just connected to them, like relating with them. How was it?
Well, they're amazing, like anyway, like in their own right, and they're super nice. And one thing that I found really, which is sad to say that I was like surprised by, but they're so lovely. Like they're so humble, they're so kind, they're so normal. And I feel like when you meet people that, well, if you have met someone that's like super famous, you just have like an idea of what they might be like. But they were like nowhere near what I expect. Well, obviously you think, oh, they'll be nice or whatever, but they were super nice. Like they were just like, I felt like I'd known them my whole life, the conversations that we were having. And like they've been really supportive since the show and stuff, and they're always like, oh, we love you girls, like we're here for you, which is really nice to hear, because especially from like females that you look up to as well, the fact that they're actually willing to help you and they're, you know, they're proud of you. It's like, wow, like we're actually doing something, like it's cool.
No, we love it. And then for you personally, how do you see the rest of the year going for you? What things are you most looking forward to from now till the end of the year?
That's a tough question, you know. Well, I'm turning 21 this year, which is like a big thing, which is weird because like I feel like 21's that age where it's like, wow, you're 21, you're a proper adult, like. But like I guess I'm looking forward to being able to be blessed with another year of my life, and just seeing what things will come from being 21. I definitely, one of the things, like I always set goals at the start of the year, and there's this website, I don't know if I can say it, but there's a website, I can't even remember what it's called, but you email yourself.
Oh yeah, I did that this year.
Yeah, and then you get the email on like New Year's Eve. So I've done that for the last like 4 years, and I remember one of the things I put this year was I wanted to see my family more. Like I just wanted to be more invested in my family, because they're the people that support you the most. Like they're your rocks. So I've definitely done that by obviously travelling to Ghana, but I hope to go again before the end of the year if I can afford it, because that's another thing.
Hey, listen.
But yeah, just being more present with my family and my cousins, connecting with my whole family, and just knowing that, you know, I think like every time I see some of my aunties and stuff, they're always like, oh, don't change, like don't make sure you don't like change, or make sure you stay humble. And it's like, I don't want to be that person that people look back and they're like, oh, she was so different, or, you know, she's changed so much. I want people to know me for being the same and maintaining the same energy and like just being me. So to see my family, I feel like they always hold you down. Like your families are the ones that are going to be the most real with you. And I'm lucky to be quite close with a lot of my family members. I've got a big family, but they'll always be 100% honest with me. So if I feel like, yeah, when you see your family more, it kind of just keeps you grounded. Like it keeps you knowledgeable. It keeps you learning about things. And, you know, I've got a lot of smart family members as well, so you learn off them. And yeah, I love my family in it. So I'd say one of my things for this year is just to be more present with my family, obviously with faith as well. I still, do you know what, I went to a Hillsong church for Easter, and it was so like, I hadn't been to church since the pandemic, like physically, and it became like a thing where it was like you have all these anxieties of going back into church because, oh, people are going to notice I haven't been to church for ages. Like, am I going to look new? Am I going to look like, you know, I didn't want people to be like, oh my God, it's been ages. Like, where have you been? I didn't want to feel any, not that I would, but I didn't, there was like anxieties about feeling judged about not being in church for so long. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to go to a completely different church. I'd never been there before. And, you know, again, that sense of belonging, like every church I've been to, you just walk in and you just feel like you belong. And that's the amazing thing about being around like other Christians, is you just feel so like at home. It doesn't feel like anyone's watching you and being like, oh, like they haven't been here. Like it's so like non-judgmental. And yeah, like just being more present. And I want to try and attend church more anyway. Because as much as it's not just the building, sometimes it really helps you like engage more and get into this like the flow more. So that's one thing for me as well.
You love it. I think I love that, I love the letter that you send to yourself like in advance.
Yeah.
Firstly, obviously, because you can see all the things that like, I love the letter that you send to yourself in advance. Firstly, because you can see everything that was able to like come to pass. And secondly, because some of the things that you're just talking about, you will just see that they've just taken such a different turn, and it's just laughable.
Literally.
It's so funny. I'm like, oh yeah, God, like, and also like, hopefully, not even dear God. I'm saying this success. I'm saying, oh, like this success, like, hopefully by this time, you know, you've got this and you're doing this, and when I get to the end of the year, I'm thinking, you thought,
literally within 1 month, you change your mind about what you were gonna do.
Yeah, so I was even gonna ask that: are there any things, just in general, but I guess recently perhaps, that you've asked for and you're glad that it didn't happen?
I think certain opportunities that come up, or like, so I reach out to like quite a lot of brands and stuff, and I feel like there was a time where I was just like, do you know what, I'm just gonna reach out to everything, because why not? And I was like, okay, good, like, you'll give me the ones that I need, or da-da-da. But then it kind of was like, do you know what, why would I do that if I don't even care about that brand? I don't even know what it is. I just found it on Instagram and I thought, okay, cool, let me do that. But God gave me the ones that I connected with on a personal level. And so, yeah, I'd say that that's probably one of the things. It's just, you know, when you ask for something, you're just like, actually, I did not need that at all in the slightest. And that was definitely one of those things.
You know what it is? And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, if you get it, it's calm. If you don't get it, like, for me, it's more time. It's either like not for you, not right for you, or like there's just something better in store.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? There's just
I always
something
think
better.
like that too.
So I think that's what we can do. So as always, the people may want to get in touch with you or not, or keep up with you. But if they do, where can they catch you? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm actually only on Instagram or TikTok, to be honest, like publicly. So I'm Liv Aidam on both. Just my name.
We love that. And that is us. We are going to wrap up. But for this, for the behind the scenes, for the forward scenes, for everything that we're going to do in this season 2 and more, head over to our Instagram at the RGS Podcast. Also head over to our TikTok at the RGS Podcast. I don't know why I was so hesitant with that. And yeah, we've just got more good content coming your way. We love this, but it's been lit. Thank you very much, Liv.
Thank you very much. I've had a great time.
Thank you. And yeah, so keep it stepping. It's been good vibes. So say less, don't stress. God bless. Peace.
Love that. That's cool. That's so sick.
That was really good.
See, I just love talking. Like.
You are now listening to Redefined Gospel Sounds.
So we're back again. We've got quick fire questions with our girl Liv. I'm gonna shoot them at you. I need you to get them back to me relatively quickly, and we will see how we go. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit stressed.
Don't be stuck. Why is everyone feeling a bit? Everyone always feels very stressed. It's calm. It's calm.
Okay.
Cool. 3, 2, 1, go. Favorite Bible verse?
Jeremiah 29:11.
A song that you're loving right now. It can be anything. Doesn't have to be good. It can be
anything. Kendrick Lamar's new album. There's a song with Blast and someone else. I can't remember what it's called, but I love that song at the moment.
The biggest lesson that you've learned on your faith journey so far?
That you have to keep learning and growing. You have to keep going. You can't just stop and accept it all to be finished. It's always going.
An artist that you'd like to work with in the future?
Doja Cat.
Your favourite moment in music so far?
Being in the studio with like really cool, talented people.
Your go-to song recommendation? Like if I asked you for a song, what would you put me on?
That's a really tough question. I know
you got
it. Okay, right now. Oh God, my mind has gone blank.
First thing that comes to your head.
I'm just going to say No Guidance by Drake and Chris Brown because that was playing in the car on my way here.
Calm.
I'm going to go over that.
Something that you'd like Christians to do better?
Being open to the fact that we all make mistakes still, even though that we are Christians.
And lastly, if God were sitting right next to you on that blue cushion, what are you asking him?
I want to see my plan. What's the long-term plan? Where's the vision? Show me everything.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Was that it? Oh, okay. That's actually alright. That was actually calm.
Yeah, that's that. See? Everyone thinks that we were gonna ask them, "Oi, what's your granddad's middle name?" And that.
I don't know why. I thought there was gonna be a trivia question in there.
No, there's no trivia. No trivia.
Like a trick question.
Nah. It's easy.